So I finished the actual map. And it's taken me a long fucking time. Honestly. Like, just the amount of effort it's taken to get this fucking thing done. Obviously, the Murphos here, the Mist, and Marcus Cardus, as well as Elandria, are left white because those areas, there's the significance to it. You know, Elandria, I just probably gotta shade it. Like, I don't want to detail Elandria. The map's not about that. You know, like I did on this map here. I don't want to sit and do that because I'm gonna have a compass there. Much like on the other one. So I'm probably gonna just color it like gray or I don't know, something just brownish. Murphos, give it kind of a brownish color. I might leave the Mist white, make it like smoky or something. And then Carpus Martis, I don't know, gray. But yeah, the land's done. It's taken me a very long time to do this. And it's been a bitch, I'll be honest. But it's all there. As detailed as I could make it. I tried my best to do justice to everyone's things. Like Tantorum, for instance. There's that island right there. That's Thressia, which is right there. That's the actual birthplace of Cypherus in the story. And then these are the Shattered Isles anyway, but there's Sapernia now. I know, it looks a lot different. I kind of wanted it to look kind of like an England in a way. In England, if it had like a bunch of Shattered Isles next to it. But the kind of top here, I was going for the England look. You know, narrow passage in the middle there, opens up at the bottom. And this slight changes to, what is Dubois? You got these interesting island chains up here. There's the Blightlands. Marcus Cardus is where the Blight really took hold. And these are the lands that are cursed from it, but as you can see, untouched here. Slight changes in this area. There's the Gaiufa Mountains. Camaluden Forest. Or Luden Forest, whatever it's called now. But yeah, man, I just tried as hard as I could to detail the fuck out of this map. There's those islands, the trade deal happened. And the newest portion is the south, and as you can see, color seems to go away, which in this light looks brown, actually, but it's kind of very blue. I wouldn't call it quite tundra, but it's a colder place. Yeah. It's been a long, arduous, I should say, process. You know, and you can see from which it began, the original map, the second map, with all the fucking lights in the background, and now the third map. They're getting better with time. On my wall, I'm going to put it right there. I moved Thressia somewhere else. This will be my kind of drawing corner. I've yet to figure out what's going on in the rest of the world. This is World Concept 1. But I was like, there's no way. That's like a massive Year of Africa kind of thing. Which means these islands are the size of Britain. I don't know. I'm not quite sure yet. But hopefully soon we can get it done. And kind of thinking about things right now. Really rough drawing of it. Trying to see how we can navigate stuff. That's the other project. The one I finished the descendant line. That one's all done. The one that me and Jacob started. As you can see, the flags, the project I completed. And then now I'm working on these. It's an economic map and a geography map, which is gonna lay out, like, here's the realms of the Albadan. Like, I'm gonna do a few of these for each nation, but I need to go in and well, I can't really show you because it's a clear piece of paper, but I'll eventually trace it where the lands are. There's Adrana, and that's what's it called? The Willandi, like their actual land masses. So we know exactly how much land they have, and then I'm gonna move forward in the geography part, which will be naming every single river, valley, mountain, just landmass in general, areas, forests, badlands, deserts, lakes, you know, everything's gonna get named. That's gonna be the hard part, I'm honest. Like, that's gonna suck ass. But then the stories will begin. Stories of mankind. And the stories of the Inaku. Stories of the Forgotten King and his family. And honestly, I think that's really the only major pictures I have. Like, I don't have a whole lot to show, but I think it's getting to that point where I'm about to jump back into the book again. The reason I've done all this stuff is, well, once I get into book 2 is when shit starts to really open up and go a little bit crazy. Like, I had to basically kind of come up with everything that I never thought of for, like, the lore of the world. Whether that's names of governing individuals, because in the second book you're going to start seeing Aya, her separate story of going to Adrana and watching a regime change happen, and the political upheavals, and, you know, it's just like the 1930s Germany kind of thing. Or like now, really. Depends on who you ask. But that shit was important, so I need to understand exactly how the lore works and stuff. When I'm doing the editing of the book, I need to know the names of places. What are the names of the valleys and the rivers and all that they're going to be walking over? Can't keep saying that he walked through another river, then he saw another mountain. You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta start talking about what these places are, so I have to do the geography now. Understanding the trade and understanding all of the things we talked about in the last video is because like, by book 3 the world's going to go to war, and I have to see how it works sufficiently and how it works in chaos. So we have to understand who is allied with who to be able to make the war realistic. A big conflict. So who's siding with who, and what are the trade deals, and, you know, all that shit. Like, it's gonna matter in time. Book 1 was written with just about everything unresolved. I wrote the entirety of book 1, and I didn't even know what it was about. This is what's crazy, like the prophecy and all that stuff, and what Eris's journey is, and what his purpose is, and what the story is even about. I didn't even know. So I wrote a whole fucking book to which I'm going back through, and I'm trying to figure it out. Basically the way you're not supposed to write, but I don't know how to do it any other way. Stories evolve with time. So for me, it's constantly shit like this. Like, I just have to figure out these questions. Then I figure that out, and then we just, by book 2, book 1 got by on the skin of his teeth because it didn't need the world. It needed Eris. It just needed a kid watching things happen. There are going to be things I have to edit in that are lore based, but for the most part, it didn't really affect the story. What his purpose is. His purpose was to see. The next series, like the next part of his journey, is him doing. And essentially the seeing part is childhood. Now we're going to move into his like adolescence of, well, 18 years old kind of thing. Like, okay, now it's your turn to go out there and make your mistakes. The next book will be like what it's like in your 30s when you're looking back and you're like, fucking, what the hell was I thinking? That's like book 3. And so on and so on. They kind of go with my life. So book 1 didn't need a lot of like, what is your purpose? You are the Luke Skywalker, you have to do, like, there is none. It's just you are kidnapped and taken to another place. And you are forced to do things, forced to see things and behave, just like it felt like as a kid. So that's kind of why it didn't really matter. But now that we're getting in book 2, the prophecy matters. Eris's true purpose matters. It's going to start to matter. Talking to people outside of a country for the first time. Book 2 is going to begin with him in a whole new place. So like, it matters what those people are like, their interactions and their language and all that. So that's kind of the point. Like we're getting to the area now where I have to really dig into the lore, and I have to start making things accordingly. I can't just keep guessing anymore. And the interesting thing is, you think you have it all, and like you think like that's enough. Like I feel like I understand this, but as soon as you dive in, you start raising more questions. And with that, I have to go solving problems. Now, I do have another really interesting project that I'm doing that I'll show real quick with this guy. This old fucking computer. It's from 1982. Old fucking thing. And I gotta get a floppy drive working, and I don't know how to do it. I'm figuring it out. But it's one of these computers. I'm learning BASIC, which is like an irrelevant thing nowadays. That doesn't really serve a purpose, but I'm trying to learn BASIC because I want to make those old school DOS computer games, text-based, where it's like, you look here, you see nothing. You look there, you see a sword. And add a little story in the book. Just this little fun little thing that we could do. I don't know why I feel compelled to do it, but I did it. The fucking computer cost me more than I want to admit. And like, I don't even know why I did that. Like, I'm still thinking, like, what the fuck, dude? Why did you do this? You just wasted a bunch of money. But I have that. I have a lot of interesting projects that I want to do. Like, I got one of those, which you don't know what that is. It's a stick. No, I'm kidding. It's a what the fuck are those called? It's for a projector screen. And I bought an overhead projector, and I'm gonna do things with that. I'm gonna be able to shine the light on the wall. I can trace things if I need to trace them. I can do presentations if I need to presentate things or whatever. I'll have to find a good wall to do it. But I'm just buying all this weird shit. I don't really know why I'm doing it. Like, why did I just buy a 40-year-old computer and then a projector? An overhead projector like we used to have in school. Why did I do that? I have no idea. I have no clue. But I feel like it's all connected to stuff I'm going to try and do with the book and open it up for my own mind. It's not like these things are part of the journey for other people, but for me it was interesting to really try to hone things my own way. Like, I read an article, I read somebody's question on a thread group or whatever it's called, and like, what kind of supplies does it need for world building? Some people were assy and like pen and paper or a computer, blah blah blah. Like for me, it's like, dude, you're gonna need drafting tables, you're gonna need fucking art supplies, you're gonna need computers, you're gonna need microphones, cameras, typewriters, projectors. What are those called? Whiteboards. You're gonna need, like, for me, it's like an entire fucking thing, like a factory. Like, you're gonna need a lot of things. You want to do proper world building, but like, that's just how I do it. I can't just sit down anymore and pen and paper. Like, I have to visually start seeing this shit. Like the maps, I can't not, like, oh, I'll imagine it. Like, there's no way. I need to visually get this going. Because soon I want to start doing landscapes, and I learn how to paint, which I've never done before. But I feel like, with art that I've already done, I could probably paint if I tried. So I'm gonna start doing sceneries, so I can really just open up those giant, beautiful, like, fantasy scenery shots, which I think will be really cool to do. And I'm gonna have fucking space for them, but I'm gonna find places to put them all, and it's just gonna be a whole. Like the ones that Kevin did that I showed of the two mountains, like shit like that. And then just like you can actually see visually the world. And like I have a bunch of short stories that I've thought of and I've planned out, and I figured out how I'm going to release them and what they're about. Like each story is a section of the lore that really matters, that leads to the point of where everything happens. Like the backstory of Martis, or the story of Quinlan's discovery of mankind, or the story of the Titans. Like, it'll be enough, and each short story will be kind of written its own way. It'll be written like, this short story is going to be more of a journal. This one's going to be, it's stuff like that. They're all going to be kind of a little different, and I'll just kind of release them here and there. And so if someone ever finds or reads, or however this works in the future, however I end up finishing everything, they get to book one, and then I'll mention something in it, and they're like, wait a minute, I remember this author. I read one of his short stories about this character named Martis. You know what I mean? And you'll start to see, like, I'll make sure I release it in a good order. I'm not going to ruin the Martis journey until you get book 3. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be kind of a chronology of like a whole volume set of this world. And I've like been thinking about it, and I'm sitting thinking like, well, it's gonna take me my whole life. I've already just accepted that fact. It's not gonna be something I can do here shortly, because it's too much. Like, life is time. So each story has a chunk of my life in it, right? So if I have it be, let's pretend book 3's in his 30s. I'm only 31. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know what it's like to be in my 30s. I just began. So, but I know what the 20s are like. And the growth of the story is the growth of a man. And that's all the story's ever really been about at its core. It's got a lot of elements about accepting certain facts of life, or just many different moving concepts of philosophy, or the human condition, or you name it. Like, it's got a lot of things like that, but the core of it is about what it's like to be a boy growing into a man. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, Star Wars has a lot of moving concepts and philosophies and everything, but essentially, as George Lucas said, it's about fathers and sons. That's the same for me. It's about a man. It's about a boy becoming a man, and what it's like, and what's defined as man. Each character that you'll see, like Cypherus, Nacum, Eris, possibly with like Vathia and Elastra and a few others that I'm not going to name yet because I can't think of them. They all show different types of men, but they're not saying this one's righter than the other, this one's more manly than the other. Like, it's showing the fluidity of it all, what manhood is. And I think with that, you can see the darker side of it and then the non-darker side. Hold on. Yes, and God, I gotta be careful. But yeah, it's like Cypress is exploring more of a darker side of what a man is at his absolute worst. And Nacum to some degree as well, but his stories of finding himself is kind of like setting up in your early 20s, thinking that this is it. You're like 22 and you're like, I'm an adult now. I figured it out. I have an apartment now. I have a steady relationship that's been going on for a few years or whatever. And you think like, I've done it. And in reality, you've done nothing. And it most likely, at least in my case and everyone that I've met, it just comes crumbling down. Like it just falls apart. And then you're left homeless again, or you're left with no other options, or broken, or whatever. Like that's Nacum. He is that 20-year-old that's like, I thought I did it. I thought I got to this point. I'm like 23 now. 22, 23, 24. Like I thought I figured it out, but no, you didn't. You're gonna keep falling. And like, again, for instance, I'm 31, so this is probably another thing that I'm waiting to have happen, that someone in their 40s is like, oh yeah, I thought I had it in my 30s, but then, you know, whatever. I don't know. I'll find out when I get there, but that's kind of his story. Cypress is in his, I don't remember, like late 40s, early 50s, kind of. I don't really, I mean, I got his birthday, but I don't off the top of my head. Eris calls me the old man because Eris is a young man. You know, I remember thinking people were 40 were old. Now I'm like, they're not old. They're like 10 years older than me. They're still young. But like, his journey is pretty fucked up. His whole story. I don't know, man. That's nuts. Just thinking about it all, like, fuck, dude. It's sometimes hard to write. It's so fucked up. Like, not like with, it's not flashy fucked up, where I'm saying outrageous things. It's just like mindset. Do you know what I mean? That dark, depressive, like, fixation on this will fix it. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of fucked up. Because I just remember being there. You know, it's a man who's lived his whole life, and it was all taken away from him in his late 30s. And then he's like trying to get it all back again. Like it's a horrible, horrible thing to really go through. And honestly, to like passively go through it by writing the story. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of like the men in my story, Eris Cypress and Nacum. And like, there's gonna be others, you know, like not ancillary characters, but goddamn, just like side characters or characters that matter for a little bit. Like that dude from the psych compound, which I don't remember the name of it. The headmaster of the psych order. Like this, like there's people that are gonna be there for a little bit, and somewhat of a mentor state. Like when you think of episode 1 of Star Wars, you have Qui-Gon is in Anakin's life not very long. In the movie, it's like, what, halfway through or something? And you know what I mean? Like, throughout the movie, it's there. But Anakin's life, he grew up to the age of, what was he, like 9 or something? Or 8? Or 7? I don't know. And Qui-Gon was only there for, like, fuck, I don't know. It seemed like a few days. So maybe a month at most. I don't even know how long it was from Tatooine to his death on Naboo. It feels like it was only a few days. You know what I mean? Like maybe it was a week. And that, like a mentor, but in a small period of time, that's kind of like this guy from the psych order to Eris. Just a mentor for a few days. I don't remember if it was a week or not. It might have been a week. but he could have a lasting effect. You know, you do meet people like that. Or sometimes it's, you know, maybe it's nothing. Like, they could have been a mentor, but the character wasn't really there to listen, you know? For me, like, Eris's journey is so jarring. How could you retain any of it? You know, like, you're thrust into a world after your city seems to fall apart around you. Chased across hundreds of miles by an unknown person. Being chased by an unknown person, led with an unknown person to unknown places, places he's never heard of. Finally told that he might be really important by more unknown people. Well, I forgot Jaal. He's one of the main characters. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, like, you're super important and the world's not what you think. And then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose and now you're on book 2. You know? It's like, holy shit, dude. It's jarring. Like, he's like, what the fuck is even happening right now? So his journey, that's kind of what it felt like to me growing up. From childhood into adulthood. It's just like constantly being drugged to places you don't want to be, by people you don't want to be around, and then it's all of a sudden you're just bam, and you're an adult, and it's like, okay, well, half my adult life, from like 18 to relatively a few years ago, it still felt like I was not living my own life, like I was just following everyone else, you know, doing what everyone else wanted to do, to please them from one reason or another, to be supportive, and all that shit, you know. And so that's what it was like for me. I just felt like I was at the mercy of everything around me, whether that was my environment, the people around me, the condition of the world, the culture I was in, my economic status and all that. Like, I just felt like I was at the whim of everything. So now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to gain more control. Like, I'm starting to make more, starting to like live my life the way I want to live it. You know, financially I'm pretty stable. I've gotten like this office to do this work, and it's mine now. I don't have to like constantly do things for other people. They need me here, they need me there, they need me here. Like, that still exists, you know, to some degrees, like forcible degrees, like work. Can't really get around that, you know, as of yet. And, you know, parts of your relationships with people, you know, like, you just got to kind of accept the fact that it's a give and take thing. But this is mine, you know. And this world that I'm creating and the stories in it is just a reflection of what it kind of felt like. And, you know, there's exaggerations, but then there's things that really did happen. You just try to, I don't know, make note of it and learn from it, and try to teach people, not passively, sorry, not actively, but passively. So you don't you don't preach to people, you just show them what you've done, and then they can kind of see, you know, because that was the way that I learned the best, was by watching others make mistakes, so I don't have to. This is probably just a small update video about something. I'll figure it out, I'll find the theme. I'm just gonna call it an update or something. You know, I showed the maps and all that stuff, and then I'll just do another video tomorrow, hopefully. We'll see if I have the energy, or if I should just get to the book. We'll see. Usually just kind of play it by ear, as they say. So, anyway, your grandma's texting me, so I gotta see what she wants. Hopefully she's, you know,